Okay, and I say we just kind of got working on uploading the last video. I haven't checked whether it's completely uploaded yet or not, but probably should be by now while I'm recording this next one here. But you know, the little line we drew on these, we kind of got to carve it off to make out the top of the head here. And like I say, probably going to have to make this video short because I didn't think to sharpen my knives, even though I said I was going to before the next video. So that's just kind of the way it's coming along now, and knives are going to need to be sharpened again soon. So this is just something we've got to take care of in a moment or two, so we'll take care of that a little moment later when we get better at what we do, what we're doing, trying to make things a little better for us and better for the world. And I'd say that this is just one little step we're going to take. I say, better yet, we won't record. Well, I tell you all, I decided to stop the video long enough to try to sharpen these knives a little bit, and I think we've kind of probably done them as good as we can. So, I mean, I'd say, you know, sometimes you kind of want a sharp point and a shiny blade, so we gotta work our way along about that to kind of make it so it's going to be as good as it can be. And I'd say, for one thing, you know, like, we finally got to where we sort of like got this down where before we stopped the video on this one piece of Mary here, and how there's going to be little things to work on with Joseph and the shepherd as well. And you know, there's probably going to be a few lines to draw when it comes time to make their little hoods and stuff, but this is, I'd say, where we are right now, taking care of matters best way we know how, I say, and how this is just working for us, all for the good, the better, and see how this little head flies on and head works out. And too many times we work about this little figure here to make it so it kind of works its way down to what we all just really need for it to be, to see how this is going to work in the long run, make Joseph a better figure for us all, see a little light in our days, make it so we brighten nights with our future. And I tell y'all something, that some of this stuff makes me think back on little things I kind of remember as a kid, and how I've looked up all these old videos and commercials on YouTube and downloaded videos and shared them with friends, and one of them in particular of that old Mac Tonight commercial from the 80s. I was still a kid at the time, but the commercial was probably a little bit more for grown-ups and the grown-up costume, because they came from a generation, and according to what I read, it was a generation that loved that Mac the Knife tune. And so I'd say that it was one of those things where Mac Tonight, he sang a song that was the tune to Mac the Knife, and it was all about how McDonald's was just starting to kind of stay open at night for dinner and things like that. So I hadn't really kept up with all this stuff all my life for all these years, but I feel like the older I get, the more aware of things I become. And all the things I remember, all the McDonald Land characters from when I was a kid, Grimace and Mayor McCheese and Hamburglar and the Early Bird and all of them, you know, and they kind of, I read on Wikipedia that they kind of no longer existed after probably about 2004 or so, because even in 2003, coming home from the hospital where I worked, I'd stop by McDonald's and still see some of those figures, but you know, all they have these days anymore is Ronald McDonald. They don't have all the rest they used to have. I'd say times change and things happen, but you'll just see that there's a lot of things where Facebook and social media just share so much from all the olden days and bring all the olden days back with all their pictures and all they show. Oh my days. Time comes when things can change a little more and be where remakes of songs can't have the same kind of popularity they used to. I used to think as a kid it would be so easy to have a music career and to be able to be the next generation to do what certain singers of my generation did. It's like in the 90s, they took a lot of rock songs from the 50s, 60s, and 70s and converted them into country songs. And these days, they take a lot of rap songs, like from the 90s, for example, and kind of convert them into country songs. It was all just the way things changed, the way times changed, the way things were different, and some of this stuff I learned whenever I worked at a baseball stadium where they sometimes had those concerts, and especially those country concerts, and heard how a lot of these more modern singers sang the tunes they did and how it got to be a little different. I even kind of recall being around those shows and hearing the artists. Probably my very first year working at that stadium, there was a concert for Randy Travis, LeAnn Rimes, and Craig Morgan that was there, and never heard of Craig Morgan until that concert, but kind of grew up hearing LeAnn Rimes and Randy Travis and some of them, and some of their songs they sang were just quite easy and simple to recognize. And there was that one song LeAnn Rimes sang, and the Christian singer Christy Starling made a remake of that one. So there have been a lot of celebrities in this world who have kind of taken names and changed little things and had so much more to say. And we got one last little head on which to make that little carving out of the top before we go. And I say that it's kind of time when a little work is going to be what's going to profit us. Remember as a kid learning those words in speech, that word profit as in P-R-O-F-I-T, never knew exactly what it meant, but we sometimes wanted to pronounce it profit. But the speech therapist told us it was pronounced profit. Never always knew exactly what the word meant, but it was just something where at first I just thought it was kind of like a way that pros pitch a fit. Kind of was like my little perception of the language. So I say that this little work comes along, makes us all happy in ways. I'd say we're going to kind of get along to where we got to see things for Joseph and the shepherd here, and think we're getting to where we're kind of making it along the ways. Some of these things just have little steps you'd kind of take right before you take others, and So it just comes a time when I think we're going to start making the lines for Joseph's little headdress. You see, I say, as for the work, it'll make itself a long way. And I say when it comes down to just 1/8 of an inch, that we kind of take off across here at the top of the band, and luckily we only have 2 to make, so that's going to last us a good long way for what we are going to do here. I say, kind of like nice little work, I say, blessed work that comes and dresses itself in all majesty of all things. I say, one thing I tell y'all, that a little work can kind of take on to us is what we see, what we do. Oh, a little work in ways, a little magical work we do. I say, this is just something that has its own power to calm us and carve us and see blessed days like this. So I tell y'all that we might kind of take, well, nonetheless, we made a mistake here. We did it to Mary, but I tell you, we'll probably take care of that little thing as well when we can. But we're going to draw these lines again, make sure we get around Joseph's headdress and kind of take the lines so we see how we carve them away to make a little blessed work of our hands. Pray, pray, pray. Pray little times like this. Bless our work. Oh, work. It's just the hands of a worker. Like Ty Herndon sang about the hands of a working man. And for little things we say, we kind of got to sort of, I'd say, like, we're going to have little lines to make across the top as well, and that's where it's going to be the place where we get a little time and work put into little things like little nativity men, shepherds, and Joseph and stuff. So this little time of work is just kind of showing us a little grace and mercy to be in our helpless time of need. See how grace and mercy shall comfort us, and oh, show us the way to know God Almighty through power and mercy and the cross. And I say that sometimes you get experienced enough that you might not need a little ways to go too much, but you'll see when you come down to it that it's not much work when you really show what you have the power and strength and mind to do. And as for this little bit of work, we see how little Joe is coming along. Oh, what a lot of time and effort we have in all we say and do. Make little things just pop in around us. Make little things just show the life of us for all we are and who we are. I say it's just one little thing after another. And as of today, you know, my parents could be bringing lunch home anytime for us, but it's just a little moment when we kind of got to carve things along. make it so we're brightening up history with all we have to say and do. Thankfully, there are certain days that are behind us now. Some of the troubles we had, they're all in the past. Thankfully, they're a thing of the past. And these days, you know, working on my business becomes a little bit more to the essential matter of all things. Oh, working days, I say, time and ways, gentle times, I say. Oh, the work that works alone, I say, this is just a time when we're going to work a little harder, see how things are going to be. It's just little times when we make our ways around. And I'll tell y'all something now, that there was probably even a thing or two back here with this Mary pattern I might have missed, but we're gonna look back over, see whatever it was, but that'll, guess I'd say, come along later. Got to make another little 1/8 of an inch below Joseph's first top line band, and make several bands to go along his head. Oh, work times, I say. All this bitty work, it just shows us grace is sufficient for all of you and me. Oh, the work shall make its way to us. Bless our child of God. Blessed all the children. Oh, times we see ways. Oh, the work in our days. Damn it. We fuck it. I say, you know, little careful words now and then. But I'll tell y'all that little lines are necessary to make. It's unfortunate a little word may slip now and then, but it's going to happen sometimes in life. It's going to happen sometimes in life. Just the way we see fit for the very work we're called to do. And this is where I come right along saying that there's a lot of imperfection in this world. There's a lot of imperfection in this world. It's like these days, you know, people kind of want to go with customs and all. Everybody's different in every way, and we know that times are going to change, people are going to change. I say it's all good for us to know. I say, and in this life, we have our ups, we have our downs, and this is where I start along to make these little lines just as good and straight as they can really, really, really be. And times like this, we don't know why anybody's looking for us a certain way, seeing us a certain line, telling us a certain way to go. And all sayings I say, preach, preach, preach. It's all good in all things, I say. Oh, little work can make its way down to us, and oh, I tell y'all, it's like measurements don't even have to be exact sometimes, because some things you're just going to kind of fool with them anyway. Don't know whether or not if the last time I did one of these sets on video, if I really showed all the work as to how I carved out Joseph's headband, but there's places where we're going to find out how the lines fit, and I'll show you where they're drawn. It's like in these places where you see the work, it's just kind of showing you a little happy place where little lines come into the top and in the top of the head and all around. I say, perhaps we'll get a little bit of a smaller knife to take care of this, because it's just a little detail. And that's why they call it a detail knife, because that's what it's for, is for taking on detail with things. I say a little headdress of all things, as we see this to be, working our way about this. Sure enough, it's just, no, I tell you, just chipped off a little too much there, but sure enough, I've got that scrap here somewhere. Gotta kind of take it where it needs to go, but say that we're gonna correct that little spot. And we chipped off a little too much in a place, but, and second of all, need to put my glove back on. Just took it off long enough to look for a missing scrap, but I'd say that we're getting this along well. Dang it, to fuck. I say, I'm just kind of getting a little frustrated here with what I'm doing, and so little words may slip a little bit here and there. This is one of the hardest parts of the Nativity, is carving this little headdress here and making it so the lines come out in good shape. And one little thing after another we have to do. Try to get a little line in here, show mercy to how this shall freaking ways come along. Bless children in ways, bless us all, make us all such happy folks to the world and all around us, you know. And I think we kind of got a little place or two fixed here where it really needs to be done, and so I say perhaps the headband's going to be a little slanted around the top anyway, so I'd say we haven't done much harm here. This is how we've come along so far now. Got a little ways to go around this little part of the band too. Make it so we're seeing what it's going to come down to be. And good thing or not, I laid down my detail knife and picked up another knife that wasn't the best one, so had to switch that around. Yes, this is a troublesome part that takes extra skill to do. Should be having a little bit of a sharper detail knife here. And then try to put the little place in the line just where it needs to go, where it needs to be. I say it's just working its way down to what we need it for, and come down to where this is just what happened now. I say life is just good and life is just better when we're making a raise. And so it's hard to have people to do a lot of work for you in life, and there's some things which, given your talent and skill, you might just have to do yourself sometimes. But I've gotten all those lines cut out and finally made the little top of the band here. Do think we're going to end this video right here, because I've already kind of been able to demonstrate what a little work can do here with what we've got, and am pretty much happy with that. So I'm going to have to stop the video right here and go on to work on the next. Thank you for watching.